The Vezina talk, and we
Ooh,
just talked about Tampa Bay and that guy who's in the between the pipes who
amazing.
is still unbelievable.
Just
Andrei
insane.
Vasilevskiy.
Insane. He's posting what a 166 goals against average and a 940 save percentage. Who does that, man? You're in the National Hockey League. Calm down. We get it. Calm down, Jamal. We get it. Okay.
Don't pull out the nine. Yeah. Vasilevskiy is leading the league in 14 wins. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And these stats are very skewed because there's a couple scrubs who are for Vasilevskiy in the save percentage, but he really should be leading the league in save percentage for the amount of games he's played with a 942. So I mean, if you want to play, like, you can have a mediocre team and play behind Andrei Vasilevskiy, and he's going to carry you into making the playoffs for sure. Next one on the list, Connor Hellebuyck of the
Yeah.
Winnipeg Jets. He has been the backbone of this team, the reigning defending Vezina winner. He has been keeping them in games for as long as he's been with the Winnipeg Jets, and especially this year with them. With like trades this year have been different animal, especially in the case of the Winnipeg Jets because of them being in Canada with a 2-week quarantine. So they didn't have a Patrick Laine or a Pierre-Luc Dubois player for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I mean, you want to put them shorthanded for a long time and having to keep pace in that North Division. That's why I think a lot of people are dogging the Jets to start off because of they didn't have a Patty Laine or PLD. But now that Dubois is back, netted one against the Montreal Canadiens to win them in overtime.
I
Thank you
saw.
very
I saw.
much.
I saw. I saw.
Fake fan Montreal Canadiens. Malcolm Govey is just fake
I
fan.
saw it. I
Fake
saw
fan.
it.
Yeah, this morning I'm showing the highlights. But yeah, Connor Hellebuyck has been unbelievable for the Winnipeg Jets. Leads the league in amount of shots against with 554. And if you look at the other teams who are in this conversation, it's the Ottawa Senators, the Chicago Blackhawks, the Washington Capitals, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. So 2 out of the 5 are really, really good hockey teams. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, how good Connor Hellebuyck has been, because the Winnipeg Jets are second in that North Division, and I don't think they're going much anywhere behind this guy.
No. And I have a quick little story about Connor Hellebuck. So my good friend Jake Eagles, he has his cousin. His name's Eric
Go
Odell.
Lions.
He has a cousin, Eric Odell, played in the NHL with the Winnipeg Jets. He actually played on the Olympic team from Canada when there was no NHL players allowed. So he was on that team. But I can't remember if he told me this or Jake told me this, that he had a story about Connor Hellebuck saying that he's one of the weirdest guys in the NHL, just all around, just looking at the puck,
Yeah.
doing that thing pre-game where you see goalies, more and more goalies doing that now. But you kind of saw Hellebuck doing it a lot. But the thing is, he's probably one of the weirdest guys. But he's one of the best goaltenders right now in the NHL. And even at that time, those players at that time saw it, and he was still in the come up then. So a lot of people have been kind of doubting that he was going to be able to be an elite goaltender. And now he's in the talk. He won Vezina last year, and he's still in the talk a year later. Just consistency that he's going to keep up. So it's good to see it. Okay, we want to wait. We want to skip. We want to skip. We want to skip Mr. Elite's best goalie of all time. We want to skip him.
And who might that be?
Who do you think? I'm wearing a Montreal Canadiens hat and shirt. Who do you think I'm talking about? Jake Allen? Yeah, Jake
I
Allen
think
should win.
so.
Jake Allen should
He should be
win
the
this.
starter.
He should not be the starter right now. Carey Price I think, his last elite year. Give
Was 15
maybe
years ago.
one or two, 1 or 2 elite years left in him. So honestly, at the
If you're
time
lucky.
he was playing better at the time I was making this. So right now he shouldn't be in the Vezina talks because
Absolute dog water.
he's posting at like a close to 3 goals against average and below 900 save percentage.
Jake
So I
Allen
agree.
should be the
I
starter.
agree he should not be in it. Goalie who should be in it, Tuuka
Jake
Rask.
Allen.
I'm talking Tuuka Rask now. Tuuka Rask, he has like an above 900 save percentage, 8 wins for the team out of their 12. He's a goalie. He's just been good year after year, right? And I hate the Bruins. I can't stand them at all. But Tuuka Rask is just one of those guys who's been able to make this team so good year after year. So I think that he's not one of those front runners for Vezina, but he should be in those talks if he continues to play the way he's been playing.
Um, I think in the Boston Bruins perspective, and I guess the Montreal Canadiens perspective, I think it's playing very well for them to have two really good goaltenders both in their team.
Yeah.
With Boston having Tuukka Rask and Yaroslav Halak,
Yes, sir.
and Montreal having the starter Jake Allen and Carey Price. It's a really good mesh. That Carey Price, spring chicken, and that's not a secret. needs some time off. He's been burned to the ground in Montreal for how much games he's played over the tenure of his career with Montreal. So he's finally getting a chance to rest because he really hasn't his whole career. So maybe that can propel the Montreal Canadiens to keep that fourth spot in the North Division, but it's going to be tough. No cap, Famsky. Next, the Norris talk for best defenseman, the reigning defending champion of this award, I think, should begin this again. And it's no surprise because it's Victor Hedman of the league leading Tampa Bay Lightning. He leads the team in points with 21, and he's a defenseman.
It's crazy. Like,
on that team.
I love him. I have him in my fantasy team. I just see day after day, just more points, more points, more points. Thanks for coming. Like you said, Tampa Bay, not one of the teams that I like to watch because I just don't like them. But you can't knock them because they're very good. They're a very good hockey team. Victor Hedman, part of the reason why. He's a big body and he's able to get points. That's like the perfect defenseman, right? You want a big body, you can block shots, play defense, and get points. He can do it all. And I think that's why I think a lot of people forget about the Norris when, remember, let's say Erik Carlson won it a couple of times. They kind of gave it to the defenseman who got the most points, and that's not what the Norris Trophy is about.
Like
it's about
John Carlson last year.
Exactly, like John Carlson last year. It's not about the most points. It's about who plays the best at defense, which is blocking shots, making sure the pucks don't get in front of the net, and making good passes and whatnot. I don't think Erik Carlson did that. He was an awful defenseman. So the fact that he won too, I don't agree with that whatsoever. Victor Hedman, he's able to do that and get points. So I think he's just the perfect example of what you want on your team as a defenseman.
Yeah, you talk about offensive defenseman. The next one is Dougie Hamilton of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yes, sir.
1 goal, 15 assists, 16 points in 23 games. Unrestricted free agent coming up. So he's kind of bounced around. I was going to say he's finally found a home somewhere in Carolina rather than bouncing around teams.
Yeah.
So he's found his shtick there in Carolina. Second in the Central Division, 16-6-1. Very, very good hockey and a very, very good defensive core there, right? Brett Pesce is on that defensive core. It's just Jake Bean. I love Jake Bean, former World Junior stud. Jake Gardner, Jake Slavin. It's a good team on the blue line for sure. Next guy we just talked about, John Carlson, led the league in points for a defenseman last year on the Washington Capitals, who are first in the East. John Carlson, second on the team with points, 19 in 22 games. Backbone of that team. Him and Ovi.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They had that three-headed monster right there. John Carlson continues to play good, and he's not one of those players like, I don't know, like I said with Erik Carlson, I see some liability sometimes on the defensive end of the puck, but he can pick it up. So he's still like pretty decent, and he's a big part of the reason why they're first in their division right now. So he's well deserving of a nomination, at least.
Absolutely. One of the best young defensemen in the league from the Colorado Avalanche, Cale Makar. He's hurt right now, but in the 15 games he's played, he's got 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Quinn Hughes are going to be one of the top two defensemen for a long time to be in the NHL. And Colorado, they have an abundance of good young defensemen. Him and Cale Makar, Sam Girard, and Bowen Byram. I mean, they're turning it's absolute factory right now in Colorado.
Exactly, they're stacked for the future, bro. Like you hear Cam talking about all the time. Like this team is gonna be stacked for quite some time. You still have Nathan McKinnon
making $8 million a year,
and he's been in the league since
the biggest steal of a contract.
Exactly. So you got good management there. You got good coaching. We're going to get into too. Just overall, Cale Makar, he's built for success. Like he has all the weapons around him that he needs to be successful on this team.
Yeah, the last one we're going to talk about too, and the young defenseman who should be making the Olympic team.
The Olympic
come
team,
2022 from the Vegas Golden Knights, Mr. Shea Theodore. Very underrated. Because the guy playing in front of him, and that's Alex Pietrangelo. So, I mean, what else do you want from the guy? He's got 14 points in 16 games. Canadian kid on the right-handed. Yeah, right? Pietrangelo is kind of the stay-at-home defenseman now. He doesn't have to do the stuff he needed to do in St. Louis. And Shea Theodore has got an explosive first step. I mean, very offensive-minded. And, I mean, it seems to be working for Vegas. They're 14-4-1, first in the West.
Exactly. So Vegas, I don't think they've had a losing season since they've been in the league. which is, I hate to see that. Oh my goodness, that makes me mad. You need to learn some hardship. So, but with the team that they have, Mark Stone, Max Pacioretty, Alex Tuck, William Carlson, who had his breakout year, Marcus, so you can go on and on. The team's stacked. And Shea Theodore, just like Cale Makar, he has those guys around him he can make them look better, and they can make him look better. And when you got a good goalie net too, you're going to win games. So
Yeah,
he
and
should be up
two of
there
them with Fleury and Leonard.
yeah, 2 of them. That's crazy.
Makes me want to throw up in my mouth.